And welcome back to another one of my videos. If you're like me and you work on engines or other machines, you'll know that quite often your clothes will end up with oil or grease on them, and it's not an easy task to get them clean. In this video, I'll be putting the 5 liquid laundry detergents you see right here, All, Arm & Hammer, Gain, Tide, and Purex, to the test to see how well each one performs against the other at removing used engine oil, a ground up grass stain, and wheel axle grease. Will all these detergents perform about the same, removing those stains, or will one be better than the other? At the end of this video, you're going to know. For this test, I'm going to be using a small wash load in a top-loading washer, and I'm not going to be using a small amount of liquid detergent. I'm going to be using whatever the manufacturer states to use for a large wash on each one of these. And the reason for that being is that when you have stains on clothing, you always want to use more detergent to help get rid of those stains. And as we all know, most people, when they do a wash load, they tend to use a lot more detergent than they need to. Okay, now let me show you exactly how the testing is going to be done. I'm going to be using 5 identical cotton tank tops. The reason why I chose cotton, it's highly absorbent, susceptible to staining, and at the end of the testing, we'll be able to see very easily when I line up each one of the shirts side by side how well each one of the liquid detergents did against the other. So if I take these out right here, you're going to see I already marked these. This one has T for Tide, G for Gain, P for Purex, AH Arm & Hammer, and over here is All. So let me just take one of these and show you exactly how I'm going to be doing the test. I'm going to take the tank top, I'm going to insert the cutting board inside of it. And the reason for that, when I put these liquids on top of the shirt, I want to make sure that they only soak in to the top of the shirt, fully spread out as much as they're going to spread out, without having it go to the back side of the shirt. So let me insert this one first. Once that's placed inside, I'm going to take used motor oil. I'm going to take 5 drops. I'm going to apply it to the shirt in exactly the same spot, off to the left side. I'm going to allow it to spread out. The next thing I'm going to do in the center of the shirt is take a piece of this tape, and as you can see, I cut a window in the tape. It goes through about 10 layers. And I'm going to take that section of tape and apply it in the middle because I want to make sure that every single shirt only has the same area being tested. I don't want one wider or one smaller because later on people would say, well, that stain didn't come out as well because it was a little larger in diameter or smaller. So this is going to ensure that all of the grass stains and grease stains match. So I'm going to take a piece of the tape and apply it to the middle of the shirt. So let's do right here. Okay. Gently push down on that. Make sure the edges are nice and tight. So that one's done. And here's one for the grease. Put it right next to it. Let's push that down. Alright, so it's the same exact size. And you can see that looks pretty good right there. I'm going to take the grass that's ground up with a little bit of water, mix it up really good, and I'm going to weigh out a set amount, which you'll see in a minute, on my scale. Once that's done, I'm going to place it right in the center here and gently spread it out, just to make sure this white box is covered. Then I'm going to take this cover, place it right on top with the 3-pound weight for 5 minutes to allow it to set in. On this one, for the grease, I'm going to take a small amount and I'm going to dump it right on this side over here. Build up a little bit of a mound. And then using a plastic coated business card, very gently just going to drag over to ensure that this entire box has a coating of grease. After 5 minutes, when I remove that barbell, pushing down on the metal plate, I'm going to peel off this tape as well as this tape. We will have a visible engine oil stain, a grass stain, and a grease stain. The next step, I'm going to take a half of a teaspoon of the Tide liquid detergent. Since this shirt has the Tide marking on it, I'm going to pour it directly on the engine oil stain. I'm going to take another half a teaspoon, pour it right on the grass stain, and another half, and pour it directly on the grease stain. Once the tape has been removed and the liquid detergent applied to each one of the stains, I'm going to have to brush it into each of the stains, and I want to do that using something that I made right here. This brushing apparatus is designed to make sure the same amount of brushing pressure is applied to each one of the shirts. I have 4 roller bearings, and right here you can see the bristles stick up just a little bit above those ball bearings. So when I push down, it'll lean left and right, but only to the height of the bearings. And I'm going to want to brush forward on each one of the stains. I'm going to repeat that, and then I'm going to let it sit for 10 more minutes. Then I'm going to place it in the washing machine using a small wash load, and I'm going to include this towel in with the shirt. And the reason for that, when it's in the machine by itself, it doesn't have too much fabric to rub against, but if you place it in with another item, it's going to rub around like this, and it's going to help with the cleaning process on the shirt. I'm going to use this towel for each one of the shirts that I performed the test on. Okay, let's do the motor oil first. Let's do 5 drops. Here we go. 1, 2, 5 drops. The next step, I'm going to mix up the grass to make sure it's all wet about the same amount. And then I'm going to weigh a little bit out. All right. Right around 3 grams. So now I'm going to take that and place it directly on the square over here. Push it down. All right. So just make sure it's very gently. I'm not pushing down, just positioning it over the shirt. All right, like that. Good. So now that that's done, I'm going to take this, place it directly on top, and this weight. All right, so we're going to let that sit for 5 minutes. Now let's do the grease over here. Put this grease right there. It's kind of thick and flowing. Grab this and just make sure the entire thing. Okay. And you can see there's a film of grease that's been pushed into the fibers. So that's all we're going to do there. Okay, 5 minutes has passed. This stain grew a little bit in size. You can see the water from the grass clipping spread out as expected. And this one is about the same. Let's take this off here. And I'm going to throw it in the trash. I'm going to have the most concentrated part of the stain right in the center there. And it gets a little bit lighter going outward, but I am going to brush the entire area where the grass was initially applied. Let me pull this back. The middle's darker. Try grabbing the stain from here. Okay, since everything's been removed, I waited 15 more minutes, and I'll do the same for the other 4 shirts. I'm now going to take the liquid detergent, fill it to the top of the spoon, dump it directly on the oil stain, dump it right in the center of the grass stain, and dump it in the middle of the grease stain. Spray 1. Now I'm going to take the brush. Let's do the middle one first. Okay, so we brush 10 times in the center. We brush 10 times here, 10 times there. Let me let this sit for another 10 minutes. I'm now going to place this in the washing machine on the small load setting. And I'm going to be using right over here, Tide. And it's on number 4, which the manufacturer says to use for a large load. Let me take the shirt along with the towel, get it going, and then we're going to work on the next one. You're now looking at the end result from all the testing that was done in this video. Over here is the All shirt, Tide, Gain, Purex, Arm & Hammer, and you can see I have them arranged with the oil stain, the one that performed the best, all the way down to this one here, Arm & Hammer, which performed the worst out of all the detergents when trying to remove used engine oil from the fabric. Now when it comes to the grass stain, from the camera view it looks like everything is totally gone, but if I stand from different angles with the light that's shining down, I could see areas on this shirt, that shirt, and over here where there is a little bit of that stain remaining, but the grass stain on the All is completely gone. Grass stain on Tide, completely gone. And like I said just a minute ago, it's just a little area right over here that remains with some grass stain. The Arm & Hammer did better than the Purex. The Purex has an area right through here that has a slight tint from that stain, and this one has the same tint like that, but at a much lower level. So this one's barely noticeable. So in order from best to worst with grass stains, All, Tide, Gain, Arm & Hammer, and then Purex. If you have a ground-in grass stain, it's going to be more difficult to remove, but this test gives you a very good indication of how well each one of these detergents is going to remove that grass stain. If we weren't testing to see how well the detergent alone could remove these grass stains, then of course, because this is a white fabric, I would have added a little bit of bleach to the wash, and more than likely these stains would not even be here. The last stain is the wheel axle grease, and you can see that the All detergent didn't remove as much as the Tide detergent for that one. So this one was number 1, this one was number 2, and these didn't perform so well on any of these, and it looks like Arm & Hammer would come in number 3, and very close between these two, but maybe Purex has an edge over the Gain. If you'd like to find out how to remove oil or grease from fabrics, just like you see right here, without leaving any trace at all, then be sure to click on the end card coming up where it says how to remove oil from fabrics, and that will take you to my other video. Which one of these to choose is entirely up to you, but if you're the type of a person that works on small engines, you work in the yard, then I would definitely go with the All or the Tide. It does the best job. And if you're the type of a person that works in an office, does not work on cars, does not get your clothing dirty, then you can more than likely get by using less expensive detergents. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to rate thumbs up, subscribe, and post links to this video on other websites and blogs. Also be sure to check out my video playlist as well. Thank you very much for watching.